Hello, magical humans. Welcome to this week's storytelling time with Untie Mac, me, Mac, and I have a story for you and a channeled message for you to take throughout your week. And both of them will kind of be informing each other. So this one is especially poignant for folks who are in recovery from whatever you're in recovery for, whether that's internalized white supremacy, which manifests as disordered eating, perfectionism, all or nothing thinking, etc., whether that's from an out of balance relationship with substances that you're using to fight your body, whether that's from a toxic relationship with someone who put all their trauma and stuff onto you and you internalized it, or whether it's from the myriad of oppressive systems that we continue to exist in every single day. Whatever you are in recovery from, this message is for you. So, for folks in recovery, I imagine that you've had the experience of interacting with a loved one, or perhaps even a peer or a new person, and whoop, out of nowhere comes disordered thoughts rooted in white supremacy, colonization, some diet culture stuff, some you witness their eating disorder part that they don't know that's what that is, but that's what it is, or a trauma part of theirs. Whatever it is, something pops out, a belief that is like that's not reality, or is at least not aligned with my value system. Because that is so much what recovery is what are our values? So unfortunately, me gently challenging the belief that came up for this person, and when I say gently, I mean something like, oh, so you mean they body shamed you? Kind of like it's in a question, and they're being denial around that, which is fine. But then they're continuing to be more disordered thoughts. And again, me challenging them, such as, well, that's not true, right? Or like that's anyways, it was around a particular kind of food and a particular way of interacting with it that I'm not going to go into detail. But the conversation lit up hella fast, went from 0 to 100. There was a lot of energy coming towards me as the person who identified as being in recovery, and it was a very unfortunate conversation, but not at all unfamiliar. In my journey, especially when I first got out of treatment, it was extremely painful having to have conversations, especially with my family members, around the ways in which they were still participating in and upholding white supremacy culture, diet culture, disordered eating, all of that stuff. And it continues to come up. So, side note, if you have people in your family who are going through treatment, maybe you should also learn about what they're doing, because you probably have some things to learn from them. But point being, it was a very activating conversation where I tried to redirect it. It didn't work. So then I had to hang up the phone and end the conversation. So, which is really not ideal. Really not ideal at all. So I made some art out of it that I want to share with you all, as a way to discharge the energy, the activation that I was feeling in my body. Otherwise, I would just be ruminating on that all day long. So the art says, if you're so beyond having any disordered relationship to food or exercise, if you're so beyond having any disordered relationship to food or exercise, then why are you so triggered? And I'm just laughing because this happens so often for folks who are in recovery, again, from whatever it is you're recovering from. This might happen when you're setting a boundary with someone, right? This might happen when you say, oh, actually, like, no, I'm good. Like, I don't want that substance. This might happen when you say, oh, actually, like, it's okay for people to, like, eat this food whenever they want. Like, we don't need to police people. But if you're so beyond having any disordered relationship to food or exercise, which is often specifically for eating disorder survivors, people who have gone through treatment, people who have done work on their own, people who identify as divesting from those systems and doing that unlearning, because it is a hard fucking process. How often our wisdom, our experience, our knowledge from divesting from these things and doing the hard internal and external work to do that and completely restructure our lives gets dismissed as anything to learn from or take seriously or to listen as feedback to, because we're somehow just like this mythical creature, like a unicorn, that only these people, they just like get eating disorders, and they're just too sensitive, and they don't really know anything about what being in a healthy or in a right relationship with food or movement or exercise or body is. They couldn't possibly know anything. Like, they're these weird people that just like took it way too far, which is not reality. The reality is actually those people woke up from their suffering and decided to seek help and transform and change, and people should listen to them when they give feedback. So, because we've all grown up in white supremacy culture, we've all internalized fat phobia, we've all hold certain idealized images of what beauty is, of what health is, all these things. So anyone who thinks that they are beyond having any disordered relationship to food and exercise is, quite frankly, delusional, because it's just that's like someone saying like white folks. We might, a white fragility response might be like, I'm not racist, I don't have a racist bone in my body. It's like, what are you talking about? That's delusional. You existing in the world that we live in, like, it's just not possible. I wish, but that's just not the situation. So it's the same thing. So then the second piece, which is really important, then why are you so triggered? And this is very important to note for folks who are in recovery and who are awake, because you don't want to internalize someone else's unprocessed shit. That's their journey. That it's not your responsibility. As much as you care for that person, if they're going to react in that kind of way, they're clearly not ready, and it's not your responsibility. And then so you need to evaluate what those boundaries are going to be, which can sometimes be really sad. But some quotes from this that I also want to share from the art. So why are you so triggered? And here are some manifestations of what someone being triggered, at least in this context, might look like. Yes, there are healthy foods. Well, what if someone ate insert fatty, carby, sugary food all day long? That wouldn't be healthy, would it? Going to extremes. These are ways we derail conversations and invalidate people's experiences and don't take feedback and get defensive. They have poor eating habits. Super judgmental. What? Like, that's disgusting. This is why I don't talk to you. That one just really hurts my heart. That one really hurts my heart. But that's how, like, that's verbal abuse. Just to be clear, that's like verbal emotional abuse. You can't have insert fatty, carby food and play sports. That's super orthorexic / diet culture / fitness culture / just like fake news, like literally fake news. And last but not least, you're so opinionated, which is this beautiful wrap up within all of this, like, white supremacy defensiveness. We've got some delicious patriarchal sexism going on right here. So that's just like super fun. You're so opinionated. Another way to, again, you have someone who's in like a fight trauma response, trying to shut down the other person. So if you notice that the other person you're talking to is triggered, if they're speaking to you in any kinds of these ways, this is not someone who you're going to get far with and that you might need to stop engaging with and leaving the conversation, redirecting it, hanging up, later on telling them you can't talk to me like this, and if you do, like, we're not going to have a relationship. Like, it's pretty clear cut. So that's some artwork for you. And the cards that I pulled this week, the questions that I asked were, what are we being how are we being asked to serve this week, and what can help us with that? And it feels very connected to this story, because we've got transformation is how we're being asked to serve. transforming into the truest form of ourselves, which of course is always this constant evolving process of burning away untruths, burning away old beliefs, burning away tendencies like to people please, like to not stand up for ourselves, to not challenge, the racist dialogue, to not challenge the diet culture, and just be like, no. We're done with that. And it doesn't have to be in your face, but anytime that you challenge that in whatever way you can for yourself, that's you transforming. And that's how we're being asked to serve this week, is to allow ourselves to let go, burn away the bullshit, and allow our powerful selves to come forth. And what can help us with that is the cheetah energy. So again, super sun force. So sun force in balance is empowerment, is this energized fire that can be used to cook food, used to create spells, used to make a fire, to transform something into something new. So with the cheetah, it's also, you'll kind of see it reflected in this final card here, the Two of Pentacles from the Tarot. The circles. The circles. And when I think of circles, I just kind of think of the whole, and purpose kind of being at the center of that. So cheetah is also this invitation to, as we are transforming, to come back to our purpose, the why. Why am I transforming? Why is it important for me to challenge, racism in the moment when it comes up in conversation? Right? Why is it important for me to not internalize this other person's fat phobia? Why am I doing this? Why am I in recovery? So the cheetah helps us reconnect to that so that we can transform. And then this last card, the Two of Pentacles, I almost even imagine this person is kind of like the embodiment of trying to do this process, especially in the example that I gave you of this conversation I had with a loved one, of trying to both do this really challenging balancing act in being yourself, in transforming, which is trying to maintain relationships without abandoning yourself. Because anytime I don't say something, that's me abandoning myself. Not every single time. Again, you don't have to fight every battle, but also every challenge doesn't have to be a fight. And if someone wants to turn it into a fight, I think that's more a reflection on them than it is on you. Just putting that out there. So we've got the Two of Pentacles, and the Pentacles as well bring us back to our purpose and our values. So there's a lot of energy around that this week. Your why. Why are you in your recovery? What are you doing? What is Spirit asking you to do? Obviously, it's asking us all to serve right now. What's your way of serving? What does that actually look like? And how can you balance that amongst the emotional currents of the week? How can you balance that by also making sure to take care of yourself so we don't turn into workaholics? We got to take care of ourselves and replenish our cup. And what I also love about this card in the balancing act is the actual pentacles, which are money. What is money? What we value. I personally don't value money, but there is value in money and what it can allow me to do, of course. But here, taking it more as, what do you value? So when we are transforming and when we're having these difficult conversations with folks, right, where we're becoming new people and maybe not everyone around us is ready to do that work yet, which of course, we can have watery grief around that, but as we're doing that, so that we can be our most powerful selves, we have to come back to our values. Why are we actually doing this? What are our recovery values? And what is the self-care that's going to help us? What's the ground that we can stand on? So we can do this in kind of a playful way. It looks like they're kind of having a little fun, ooh, rather than in, a rigid or overwhelming way. So that's your story. That's your message for this week. I hope to see many of you, all of you, whoever is seeking support right now this Thursday at Lessons from Spirit, our monthly solidarity group for folks who are in recovery, especially around disordered eating and body shame. We use the tarot as our catalyst for our discussions on and conversations of what's coming up for us in that process. That is this Thursday, June 3rd from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Pacific time, and you can sign up for that at fullandplentyjoy.com. But regardless, I hope you take this beautiful energy with you. This is some could get a lot of creativity done, at least reconnect to your values and your power, and maybe even coming up with your own kind of burning ceremony or something with fire, because there's a lot of fire energy here that's wanting to help us as we transform and get closer to the summer solstice, which is halfway through the year. So sending you all so much magic and blessings. Bye.